Do you really think you're capable of teaching your children? Look at what a mess your house is. And did they even do math today? Are the kids falling behind? We've talked about what to do when people on the outside criticize our decision to homeschool. But what do we do when that criticism is in our own head? What do we do when the whispers of mom guilt come? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video, so stick around. Hello, welcome to My Familia Homeschool. My name is Marissa and I live in Miami, Florida with my husband and 3 children. We are a bilingual family that has chosen homeschool as the way that we will educate our children. In this channel, I love talking about resources, curriculum, ideas, tips, mom stuff, homeschool stuff. So if that is interesting or helpful for you, make sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. So like I said before, today we're going to talk about mom guilt. We've all felt it. We've all had those thoughts. What do we do with it? So first of all, I want to acknowledge that all of these thoughts, these worries, this fear come from a place of love. You love your children more than anything. You want to give them the best childhood. You want to provide the best education for them. But just because it is from that place of love does not mean that this mom guilt is the best thing for you. We all know that guilt and worry is not healthy for ourselves and for our family. So in this video, I'm going to give you some tips of how to get off that path of guilt and onto one that will restore peace and stability in your family. So first of all, we've got to identify those feelings. If you're anything like me, I feel these things, I think these thoughts, and I stuff them down. I don't have time to feel these things. I don't have time to deal with these thoughts. So I stuff them down. I ignore. And I think if I ignore them, they'll go away. Well, it doesn't really work that way. We have to do something with these thoughts so that they will leave. Let's identify these thoughts for what they are. Guilt, fear, worry, lies. We know that these thoughts are lies. And what do we do when we have a thought, we identify it as a lie? What do we do with that? Well, we fight lies with truth. And so, as we've talked about, we are believers and we believe that the Word of God is our source of truth. So when those thoughts come to our mind, we're going to use the Word of God to counteract those lies. Matthew 6:34 tells us, do not worry. We are told by Jesus not to worry. We see right there that that is not the best that God has for us. We don't have to worry because we have a good God, a good Father that takes care of us, that leads us, that equips us to do what He has called us to do. We can rest in Him because He is good. So first we identify those thoughts and we fight them with truth. Next, let's evaluate our priorities. A lot of the time, the things that are causing me stress are things like we didn't do 3 math lessons today. I don't know. We didn't do enough work at the table. My kid is just not getting these addition problems. Usually it's something like that. Or maybe it's my house isn't clean enough. But let's look at our priorities. And some of us may have chosen to do homeschool to give our children higher academic level work. That could be a reason for some of us. But most of us chose to do homeschool for other reasons. For us, our priorities are that our children know God, that they know who they are, and that they have time to be children, to be kids. And so remember, what is your center? What is your why? What are your priorities? And most of the time, they're not going to be math lessons and a clean house. So that helps us to center ourselves, to remember what our priorities are, and to realize that these things that are stressing us out aren't them. My third tip is talk it out. Talk out what you are feeling. In the past, I've had thoughts that are going through my mind. It's happened to me before with my husband where there's certain expectations that my brain tells me that he has of me, that he expects me to do this and this and this. And usually when I feel those yucky feelings of guilt, I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to say anything because it just feels yucky and I just want to hide. And so I don't say anything and those thoughts just go around and around and around. And one day I finally decide to talk. I finally decide to say, hey, I'm dealing with this. I'm feeling this way. I speak it out and I realize that those expectations that my brain was telling me he had of me don't exist. He doesn't have any of those expectations of me. They were all lies. So find someone to talk to. For some, it may be your husband. For some, it may be a best friend. For some, it may be a call to your mom. Also be wise about who you speak to. You might not want to speak to that aunt that's going to say, well, stick them in school. Why are you homeschooling anyway? Be wise about who you talk to. Make sure they are someone who are going to listen and give you good advice, but talk. Find someone to talk to. A lot of times just verbalizing those thoughts will help us to realize the lies that they really are and will be enough to silence them. So now once we go through this process of identifying the lies, of fighting them with truth, of reevaluating our priorities, of talking about it, those feelings are going to go away, but they'll probably come back and we're going to have to do it again. It is so important to be vigilant of our thought life. It is important for anyone to be aware of their thoughts, but especially as mothers, as setters of the tone of our home, it is so important that we are aware of what is going on in our head. But I encourage you, don't let guilt steal the joy of homeschooling. Homeschooling is such a blessing. It's such a blessing to be able to watch our children grow and learn and be the ones to guide them in truth and be able to see them reach those milestones, be able to see them overcome difficulties. It's so amazing. So don't let guilt rob that joy from you. I hope this video was helpful for you and for your family. This is a topic that I'm super passionate about. I know it's so important for our well-being, for the well-being of our family. So I hope it helped. If it did, give us a thumbs up and subscribe so that you can join us next week with My Familia Homeschool.